I'd imagine that since you clicked on this video, you're looking for a way to organize and maybe plan your busy life and try to achieve some of the things that you've always wanted to do. I think that I've refined a planning system for me that's worked for me over the past few years. So let me take a minute and show you how useful it can be. Hi guys, my name's Sanji. I'm a medical student studying in Melbourne, Australia, and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to start this video off by breaking it into 3 parts. And part 1 is the daily. There's a famous quote that says, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. I think it's really important to be flexible with life, but at the same time, it's important to have some systems and structures in place to fall back on. After all, the biggest thing that I've probably learned in my young adult life is that consistency is the key to making anything work. Personally, I like to plan each day the night before by using pen and paper. Even though there's a million different apps or electronic ways to plan your day, for some reason I just find myself falling back to pen and paper time and time again. Any basic notebook will do, but I find myself falling back to these cheap notebooks that you can get from Officeworks for a few dollars. So if you guys are interested, I'll link a few of those notebooks in the description below so you can get them too. Over the years, I've experimented with a lot of ways to schedule my day. And with pen and paper, I've tried bullet journaling and I've tried a lot of other daily planners as well. But I think I've refined a system that works for me, and that's what I'm going to go through now. So what I do first is I go down the page and I write down the hours, and this acts as a rough schedule for my day. Then on the right, I add my 3 big goals for the day. This concept of 3 big goals is actually something that I've followed for most of my uni life, and it actually boils down to a very simple principle. When we get flooded with tasks, our brains naturally get stressed because we have so much to do and so little time to do it. I don't know if you guys have, but I've definitely had days where I've just been so flooded with tasks that my brain just stops because it's unable to comprehend where I should actually get started. My personal definition of a successful day doesn't mean spending every waking hour doing something productive. So just going back to things, once I've written down those 3 big ticket items, I try to write maybe 1 to 3 smaller items that I don't have to complete, but if I do, it will make tomorrow easier. These are the things that I try to do if I have a little bit of spare time or I still have a bit of energy at the end of the day. And then I fill out my calendar. So I'm a student, so I don't really get to choose which classes I go to because they're compulsory. So I put those in first, and then I fill in my big ticket items, and then I write in the smaller things throughout the day. But the really nice thing about creating a plan like this is that I can intentionally put some flexibility around everything. I really don't like to plan my day minute to minute. Rather, I give myself about an hour's flexibility between tasks because I know that sometimes I'm going to procrastinate and sometimes things are going to come up. I try not to cram my day full of things because I know that I'm not going to go to bed as happy because I have more weight on my shoulders. So what I do is I try to keep my schedule loose and I do what I can. And after all, we're all human, so we do what we can and the rest is the rest. And finally, I leave the rest of the space on the page to take little notes throughout the day on things that might be important to me. And what I like to do is I like to review my plan at the end of the day, and if there's anything important, I transfer it into Notion or my calendar. Part 2, moving into the 21st century. One of my favorite productivity apps is TickTick, and the reason it's so amazing is because it combines the to-do list functionality as well as a calendar in one app. But at the same time, it costs like $4 a month, which is $50 a year, which is essentially like 5 lunches. So personally, this year I'm trying out a few new different apps, but if you want to learn more about TickTick, click on the card up here. So this year I wanted to trial using Todoist. Now the reason I wanted to use Todoist is because number 1, it's free, and number 2, it syncs with Google Calendar and Apple Calendar. So essentially I use Todoist as a to-do list app, and I put all of my important classes and tasks into Todoist. And the really good thing about having two-way sync between Google Calendar is that whenever my uni adds classes, they'll automatically appear in my calendar as well. So I know I talked a lot about the importance of pen and paper to jot down your thoughts, but I think at the same time, there's a lot of utility with these to-do list apps. The main reason I use electronic to-do lists is because that information is always going to be available to me, whether I'm at home or at school or at the hospital. So Todoist also has projects, which are essentially like categories for tasks that you want to do. So for example, on lectures, I have a list of the lectures for the rotation that I need to tick off at my own pace. And under study topics, I have the things that I've touched on briefly or maybe heard in passing at the hospital that I need to spend some more time studying so I can understand it more thoroughly. Part 3, plan your life. So far, it's been all about planning tasks and planning on the daily, but sometimes it's important just to reflect back and think about what your major goals for your life and your year might be. It's important when thinking about your life that you consider the fact that you only have a limited amount of time and you have a limited amount of attention. So therefore, it's really important to think about what's important to you. A method that's often brought up, which helps you consider how you should spend your time, is the Eisenhower matrix, which splits tasks up into urgency and importance. If something is urgent and important, you should do it right away. If it's not important, you should try delegate it. If something's not urgent but important, make sure you schedule it somewhere. And if it's neither, you should delete it, both from your calendar and from your mind, because we really only have a certain amount of time and attention to spend. And I mean, we already kind of do this on a subconscious level, but I think that having an active framework in mind just helps plan your days a little bit better. And as a result, your life just falls together just a little bit better. Personally, for my big goals, I use Notion as a reminder. I have them clearly on my front page to ensure that I always remember what I'm working towards this year. I'll be making a new updated Notion guide and template. So if you guys like how this theme looks, subscribe and press the bell button so you'll be notified when I release that video. This year, my major goal was to work out consistently and gain weight. And so far, I've been working out every day, so I'm really proud of myself. To me, this is the most important thing for myself this year. And no matter how tired I am at the end of the day, I try to fit in a workout. Now, actually going into my goals section, we can see some of my smaller goals. So for example, getting better at guitar, taking more photos, meditating, eating healthy, and reading. So just to recap, number 1, be kind to yourself. Give yourself more time than you think a task will take, because ultimately things go over time, things come up. So this allows you just a little bit of flexibility in your schedule. Number 2, write down 3 big goals that you want to achieve each day, so you don't feel disappointed when it comes to the end of the day and you have a massive to-do list. And finally, put the tasks that can't be missed or are super important into your calendar so you don't forget about them. And on top of that, make sure you have some big goals for the year. If it's hard to have a lot of goals, just choose one and work towards it consistently. At the end of the day, we can't be perfect, so just try your best. If you work on things consistently, I can guarantee that you'll be in a better place. And that's it, guys. Thumbs if you enjoyed it, subs if you loved it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.